wanted to ask you about spirituality as a way of sort of letting yourself off the hook
Yes.
from the affairs of the world, the pains of the world, the way people escape into metaphysics
Yes.
to stop feeling,
Yes.
number one, and to stop caring
Exactly.
about other people.
Yes.
How can we use first of all, is there such a thing as spirituality? And secondly, how can we use that spirituality to connect ourselves in the world and not as an escape valve?
Right. Yes. Good. Very good question. Yes, I think that is one of the things that people do with spirituality. Exactly. They try to buffer themselves from feeling anything about the suffering in the world, or even their own personal suffering. They transcend it. They say it's all perfect. I'm getting some big life lesson. This person is having some horrible experience. Oh, they must have needed to learn that lesson, right?
Right.
I don't have to really care about them because they're getting their good lesson, right?
Right.
I have just no use for any of these perspectives whatsoever. I mean, I subscribed to them when I was younger because I wanted to escape those feelings. I wanted to make some kind of sense and justice about this world, have it all neatly tied up in bows, right? And have it make, not just logical, but moral sense. And without that, it's a bit harder to go, when you see that somebody's suffering is going to die and that they had a really hard life, and you don't particularly have that belief system going, then it's just kind of tragic. And there are those kinds of situations in this world. And all that I can do with that is let my heart break open. That's all I can do with it. And it sort of bumps up my own sense of compassion, that that these sorrows are just what's so here in samsara, in this world. It's kind of the luck of the draw almost. And I think we can each, no matter how difficult our own circumstance, many of us are in such a privileged position as to find ways to deal with them. And these are some perspectives we're speaking about today, perspectives to hold and deal with these sorrows that are more grounded, that are more interconnected, more, sleeves rolled up, engaged. I love this quote by Jesus. I came not to bring peace, but a sword. A sword of truth, right? That some things we need to try to change, right? Another danger of the apathetic spiritual position of, oh, it's all perfect, it's all happening as it should, it's not even real. That one really drives me crazy. It's not even real. Another real downside of that is that people then will watch a terrible circumstance that could be either politically or somehow socially changed or ecologically affected and just decide not to bother, right? It's one of the criticisms of spiritual people by the activist crowd, which is that they've just got their head in the sky. And mostly it's extremely privileged people in these spiritual circles, right? I mean, relatively speaking, I'm not saying that everybody out there is rich, but that we live in societies where we have leisure time, where we have the freedom to study anything we want, where we can go off to India if we decide to, and so on, right?
Right.
So I rail against, really. I really do bring out the sword on this point. I'm with Jesus on this one. That we are, as we are tender in our own understanding, as we are tenderized by sitting in this presence and feeling into, and sitting in this mystery and this sense of wonder, we are aware that there are lots of people much less privileged who don't have the wherewithal to sit in presence. They're not perhaps in a culture or society where that is fostered, or they don't have the wherewithal because of their own mental imbalances, you know, and then they're just suffering. And sometimes you're just watching suffering with nothing to be done about it but let your heart break.
Isn't that what people avoid
Yes.
in spirituality
That is
often?
it's exactly what they avoid. Yeah, because it hurts.
It does.
But
hurt.
I often say, you know, I only hang out with the brokenhearted because they're also the most joyous, the most kind. They can laugh from the deepest place because when you're really willing to let your heart break,
Mhm.
that's when also joy is available to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can't have one without the
You
other.
can't really have one without the other in the spectrum, no.